All right, good morning, everybody. It's weekend hips. And as I said earlier, for those of you that carry stress in your hips, most of us, a lot of us carry it in our shoulders, but there's quite a number of us who carry it in our hips. So some sessions, some postures this morning, all geared towards trying to release that tension by lengthening, tightening, going deeper into a lot of the muscles around the pelvic girdle, including the hamstrings, quadriceps, and then the low back. So we've started in Supta Baddha Konasana, and with cobbler's pose, our reclined cobbler's pose, I always like adding a chest opener with this one. So I've got a rolled up blanket along the spinal column, so it opens up the chest. Start to feel the stretch along the shoulders, but our focus here in the pelvic girdle and the legs, gravity just working to bring and open up the knees. Now, you don't have to put any pressure on the legs. Some people like to take their hands and place them on the inner parts of the knees. That's always fine. You can do that. Or just let gravity do its thing and try to relax. I almost always like to add a chest opener with this. That helps intensify just a little bit the work we're doing in the pelvis and into the hips. So here for 3 more breaths. If you're joining us later on this tape session, feel free to pause the tape and hang out here for maybe up to 4, maybe 5 minutes, and then hit play again and continue to join us in what we're working on. All right, give me one more deep breath in. And with your exhale, let's take the left knee, bring it up to the right, and we're going to roll to the right, and we're coming up to all fours. So I'm going to take the blanket, move the blanket to the side, and from all fours, we come into Balasana. Big toes together, knees slightly apart if you'd like. Push the hips back, and you can fold your arms if you'd like here, and rest your head on your arms. And thinking about the hips, well, we're going for the low back now, going a little bit into the glutes, but definitely to the hamstrings as our hips come towards our heels. Now, if your hips are not touching the heels, no problem there. And if you're having issues on breath, take the knees and open them up a little bit. That should help with the midsection. And this is not so much a restorative, but a relaxing pose. A lot of times we do this in between postures, but there's a lot of benefits when we're just looking at the hips. Nice. And from here, give me 2 more deep breaths, our Ujjayi pranayama breaths. And with that third inhale, let's lift up to all fours. So our shoulders are over the wrist, hips are over the knees. Let's do some leg crossovers. Take your left leg and extend it back, and you're on your left toes. Now, push the toes onto the mat and push the heel to the wall behind you. So we're tightening up every muscle in that leg, especially around the calf, the Achilles, and the arches of the foot. Hold here. We're pressing. Even your hands are pressing against the mat. And that left glute, nice and tight. You know it. All right, one more breath. And with your exhale, recover slightly, lift the left leg up, and I want you to cross it over to the right side of the mat. So we're going over the right leg. Maybe the foot comes off the mat. Try to keep the shoulders and the hips square to the front of the mat. Yeah, on the outer side, the outside of that left hip, that's where you're going to feel it. Nice long stretching action right there. Good, we're here for 2 breaths. Hold the foot there as far over as you can without leaning to the right. Nice stuff. One more breath. And with your exhale, recover. Slide the leg back, knee back in its place. Okay, right leg extend, right toes are down, and push the heel to the wall behind you. So we're lengthening and strengthening every muscle we have there in that right leg. Using your hands once again to push into the mat, push towards the wall behind you. And yep, working into those inner arches as well. And working the feet is really important because as we get into the colder months, we start breaking out the awesome cold weather boots we like to wear, the ones that are uncomfortable but fashionably awesome. That's important. All right, one more breath in. And as you recover, loosen up on that leg and take the foot or the whole leg over to the left side of the mat. All right, so that foot down on the floor, If it's hovering, that's fine, but if you can get your toes onto the floor to help get a bit of a grip, that's even better. So remember, shoulders and hips square to the front and just let that action happen from that right leg, specifically the right hip. Great stretch here. Do love this one. Nice. One more breath in. And with that exhale, bring the leg back over. Whew. Nice. Hip openers. So we were crossing over for that one, working on the extension side there. Now let's open it up. So take your left leg and lift it parallel to the mat. Bend at the knee, open at the hip. So take that left foot, cross it over the foot. We're crossing the left foot over to the right side of the mat. If nothing else, think about the left knee and just lift it a little higher. Try to keep the shoulders and the hips square. You're gonna stack the hips for the most part, but I do not want you to lean the whole of the body to the right. Keep this action working into the hips. All right, lift the left knee up a little higher, just another centimeter. Hang in here, 2 more breaths. Last breath in. And with your exhale, extend the leg out right behind you. Keep it parallel to the mat. Now let's open it up to the left. Go where you can with this one. Trying to point the left toes down to the mat. Oh yeah, working everything here. And recover. Nice. Other side, extend the right leg, bring it up parallel to the mat. Bend at the knee and open at the hip. Now we may not be able to do too much here, but think about the knee, the right knee, and just lift it a little higher if you can. And bringing that right foot over to the other side, in this case, so the left side of the mat, it happens, you're going. But keep the action and the activity here in the hips, so keep everything else square to the front of the mat. Lift that right knee up a little higher. Keep the arms engaged. I know if you're having wrist issues this morning, you can come down to your forearms. That's absolutely groovy. And you can split the difference here. When it's too much on the wrist, come on down to your forearms. All right, one more breath. And with the exhale, extend, point the toes down, and extend the leg to the right side. As I like to say, if we're going for 90 degrees, you're going for what you can do this morning. Try to maintain that altitude there. Nice. One more breath. And recover. Bring it back and down. Woo. All right, let's have a seat. I'm going to use a block to sit down for our cow face legs. I say cow face because we have our Gomukhasana cow face pose. But I just want to work on the legs today. So from a seated posture, let's bring the left leg, bring it underneath. So the left knee is actually coming towards the front. The right leg, right foot crosses over. Now, my right knee is pretty high up. I'm a little tight in the hips. You can bring that leg down a little bit while maintaining the foot on the mat, even better. Other than that, you're fine right here. Keep the torso nice and tall, because that is one piece of it. And for those of you that just want to go forward with the arms, go for it. The right arm is up behind you. The left hand comes behind you, and you reach to grab your fingers, your whole hand, or your wrist. And remember, you can always use a strap if you can't hold on. But my focus this morning, hips. So if you're here, you're doing great. All right, so like I said, keep the torso nice and tall, and you can actually squeeze the legs in just a bit. I don't want you to round your back by leaning forward. All right, one more breath in. And with your exhale, switch legs. We'll extend the right and the left. I'll bring the right leg underneath. And my left leg on top. Keeping it nice and tight as we can. Now with the left leg on top, you're more than welcome to engage the arms. Bring the left hand up and behind you. And the right hand comes behind you on the right side and reach for your fingers. Now I'm sitting on a block. Blocks are great. You know I love tools. For those of you with really tight hips or hamstrings, for our seated postures, sometimes getting the hips a little higher, maybe equal to or slightly higher than the knees will do wonders for your seated or grounded posture. So it's always a great option if you don't have a block, and if you're old enough to remember and still have a telephone book, probably the yellow pages would help. That's fine. Just get a little altitude on the hips is all we're talking about here. And it may help you get a little deeper into the posture as well. Okay, so I said this is Gomukhasana, only half of Gomukhasana, cow face pose. That's why I call it cow face legs. Just go with it. It's the old yogis. What are you going to do? All right, let's extend the left leg and shake him out a bit. We'll extend both legs out. And let's make our way back to all fours for downward facing dog. So I'm back on hands and knees. We'll start this one methodically, working for the core just a little bit here. Come on underneath your toes. Lift the knees off the mat, just about an inch or so. Hold here. And then think about bringing the hips up, the tailbone just a little higher towards the ceiling. Arms are nice and strong. If you need to be on your forearms for this, that's absolutely fine. You can be on your forearms and still have the knees off the mat. All right, from here, let's extend all the way to downward facing dog. And that's our first one of the day. Let's walk it out a little bit here. Lifting one heel, lowering the other. Then come onto your toes. Nice, and the heels come down to the mat. All right, it's our hip opener. Let's do this again. Left leg is up, bend and open at the hip. We're trying to keep that right foot flat on the mat. And remember, downward dog, well, you can always do turbo dog coming onto your forearms. It's a great variation, and we're not losing anything doing turbo dog or dolphin pose. So let's leave that up to you. Left leg straight back and down. Right leg is up. Bend and open. All about hips this morning, folks. So think about that right knee. Lift it a little higher. Stack the hips. Keep the grounded foot at 12 o'clock. Don't let the left heel roll over to the left or slide over to the left. Looks good. We got this. One more breath in. With your exhale, recover and child's pose, balasana. Any posture here, any variation is good as you bring your hips to your heels. And with your exhales, just release that posture, that last one, and sink deeper into this one. Nice. 3 more breaths here in balasana. Deep inhalations. Really concentrate on that. Feel the extension along the spinal column. 1 more breath in. And with the exhale, come forward to all fours. Come underneath your toes. Lift up into downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, something different. Keep your feet there and walk your hands to your feet. Feel free to bend the knees as you need to. As we come to a forward fold. Hang here for just a few breaths. Relax the head, no tension here. You can even grab opposite elbows. Frame your head. I like to call this one ragdoll. Okay, release the hands if you've grabbed them. Take the hands on top of the knees. Come up halfway. Give me a flat back. Try to lengthen the legs if you can. Really feel the length, the strength along the hamstrings, because it's all about the hips this morning. All about the hips. Chest comes forward. Inhale. Exhale, slide the hands down and roll up slowly. So bend the knees and roll 1 vertebra at a time. Nice. Tadasana, mountain pose. Breath and movement, forward fold. So let's inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Reverse your swan dive, lift up, reach up, and exhale your arms to the sides. Mulasana. This is a great pose, but a difficult one. It's our squat, a very low very deep squat. So take the feet wider than the hips, maybe slightly wider than the shoulders, and let's come on down. All right, now your hands can be at prayer position if you like, or anywhere they need to be. Now this can be a difficult one if you've got tight hamstrings or just the knees. The knees alone, this can be a killer. So options, I've got one for you. If this isn't going to happen for you, find a stepping stool. This will be a great one. And sit on it. Oh. All right, now, sitting on a stool like this, you take a lot of pressure off. But look at the angle of the knees, the legs. They're still bent and you can still feel them. So you can keep them in as tight as possible, okay? And still lean forward slightly. You'll still feel the work you're doing as we lower the pelvic floor. So we used to go wall squats, but wall squats aren't quite the same as doing this very deep squat. So step stool is absolutely great to use. Go to Goodwill, or if you have a neighbor who has young kids, those small baby chairs, grab one. Remember, the old yogis, this is how they ate their meals. They would literally squat down like this and eat their meals. Subsequently, it's also how they got rid of their meals, but it's too early for all of that. Okay, here we go. We've been here long enough. Hands on the mat. Keep your hands there and lift the hips. We're trying to lengthen the legs. Ah, nice. So lift the hips, lengthen the legs where you can while keeping the hands on the floor. And from here, hands to the top of the knees and roll up slowly. Even use your hands to help the torso come up. Mulasana is very deep, working into the pelvic floor, lowering it, working into the hamstrings. It's very good, it's very nice, but it can take a while to get a little deep into. All right, Tadasana, top of the mat, warrior number 2. Let's take the right leg, step it back, and step it out a little wider than what you would normally do. Slight bend in the left leg. Chest and pelvis favor the right side of the mat. Arms are up. Now, for this session, feel free to take maybe your right hand on your stomach, left hand on your chest, and hold. So you're thinking about keeping the torso tall, keeping your stomach in. The twisting action is coming from the hips. You can feel it. And with the feet being wider, your center of gravity is a little lower, almost reminiscent of Mulasana. All right, we're here, and we're holding steady here for 3 breaths. Outer edge of that right foot is pressing into the mat. Slight bend in the left leg, the front leg. We're not putting too much pressure on the toes of the front foot. 1 more breath in. And with your exhale, hands to hips, lengthen the front leg. We go into a triangle. So go ahead and you can keep the left hand on the left leg and just lean forward with this one. Your left hand slides down the left leg, your right hand's on your right hip, and we're rolling the right shoulder open. So roll the shoulder open until you feel a little twinge here in that left leg and the left hamstrings. For those of you who want to go deeper into the posture, you're more than welcome to. Extending the arms up, maybe opening up the chest a bit more, because the more you rotate the torso, you're going to feel in that left leg. All right, 1 more breath in. With it, exhale, recover. Woo! Let's bring it up to Tadasana. Doesn't matter how you get there. Okay, from Tadasana, mountain pose, left leg back to warrior 2. Remember, get those feet wider, longer than what you would normally do. Hand on your stomach, 1 hand on your chest. I need you to have the legs open enough to where you really feel it now in the hamstring, the right hamstring. Outer edge of your left foot, your back foot is pressing into the mat. Trying to maintain strength in that right leg, especially for that right knee. Got some forces playing in that right knee. We don't want any issues there. Keep the torso nice and tall as your chest and pelvis favor the left side of the mat. Good. Oh yeah, don't forget where you're looking. At this point, no big deal, but typically we're looking over the front of the mat or the front of the right hand. But for this one, we've got our hands on our torso, chest, and our core. All right, we're looking good. So keep the core in, that's important. Legs a little wider. So you feel your center of gravity down lower and you're working a little more into the legs and subsequently the pelvic girdle. All right, one more breath in. And with your exhale, I'm taking my right hand to the right knee, left hand, left hip, lengthen the right leg, and we're gonna go into triangle. So I'm sliding the right hand down. So my right fingertips are going to the mat on this side, and roll the left shoulder back. All about the hips, folks. So think about the legs, the stability, the strength. We're doing groovy right here. Just breathe. If you want to do, if you have variations, go ahead and extend the arm. You can take the right arm on the outside of the leg and open up the chest a bit. You can use a block for that right hand. You can look up towards the ceiling or look down if your balance is slightly off this morning. Give me one more breath. And with your exhale, look down, recover the arms, and let's step up to Tadasana. Once again, nothing big deal here. Just bring it up nice and easy. Shake it off. Okay, we're coming down to our knees. So from the middle of your mat, knees come down. Let's take the left foot, left leg, step it forward. And from here, make sure the left ankle is slightly in front of the left knee. If not slightly, make sure it's in front of it. Okay. And a blanket for the right knee if you need to, please. All right, hands on hips. Let's lunge. We're gonna lunge the pelvis forward. That's it. Lunge the pelvis forward till you feel a slight pinch in that left hip. You'll feel the compression here. The hamstrings are working as well. But just lunge where you can. The torso, for the most part, is on the inside of that left leg, not directly over it. So make adjustments as necessary. Maybe heel toe that left foot out just a little bit. All right, so we're lunging. We're holding the tension here. Variations, of course, you can roll the shoulders back, lift the heart, add a back bend in on this. That's absolutely fine. One more breath. And recover. Nice and easy. We're going to switch legs. Okay, so once again, now that we're down on the left knee, make sure the right foot is slightly in front of the right knee. And lunge. Nice deep lunge. So chest, pelvis. Well, pelvis is coming forward and down. And having the foot, in this case, the right foot in front of the knee, helps you get a little deeper or a whole lot deeper into this posture. Feel free to roll the shoulders back and incorporate a back bend with this as well. That's groovy. And your hands can be where they need to here to make sure you've got your balance. Mine are on my hips, but take yours where you need to. The focus, once again, all on the hips. Hips via left quadricep and right hamstring. All right, one more breath. And with your exhale, ooh, recover. Nice. Okay, great work. All right, frog pose. I know, nobody likes frog pose, but we know it's decent for us. So from all fours, and I'll come sideways here so you can see. From all fours, just take the knees, open them up. Keep that 90-degree angle there if you can, and bring the pelvis down, and the torso comes down. And then extend and flex the feet. So you can see on my right foot, I'm flexing that foot. And for this posture, if you've got knees like mine, yeah, you want to do this on plush carpeting or grab a blanket to put underneath your knees. Bringing the pelvis down towards the mat. Some of you may be laid out flat already. Try to stay awake, please. And typically, we can be here for about, I normally go 3 to 4 minutes on this one. You can add on about 45 seconds to a minute every other time you do this. Wouldn't go too long though. I probably would not exceed 5 minutes in this posture, to be frank with you. Even though we have our favorite pets, our dogs that can sleep in this posture all day long. But for what we're doing here and now, we're good to go. So come out of this posture, come out of frog however you see fit. I'm going to move forward. Ooh. Oh. and then press up. We can shake off the legs, of course. And then we're going to have a nice sit for Upavista Konasana. Another great one for working into the pelvis. Now, another option here, as I said before, about raising your hips. This is one where I do enjoy sitting on the edge of a blanket so that my pelvis rolls forward slightly. Gives me a little more accessibility into the hips and helps me come forward a little more. Okay, so this is Upavista Konasana. Seated, legs open, walk the hands forward. You can also engage the legs by flexing the feet. So when you flex the feet, all the muscles you're not working in the legs, you're working. And all of this works towards the pelvis. And as you lean forward, your lower back. So we're talking the piriformis, the glutes, everything that connects the pelvic girdle to the torso and to the legs. You're working at this point. You're stretching, you're lengthening, you're tightening. Well, the tightening comes later because as we lengthen our muscles, we tend to, well, I will say it, you may tear a few muscles. That's all part of that muscle building technique because your body will rebuild and add more muscle fibers on top of that which you damage. And it's nothing we're doing we're doing it on purpose because we do want to get a little strength here. A lot of it is subtle when it comes to our yoga practice because where you will engage the lengthening of the muscles is just where you need it. No, don't worry, you won't look like Lou Ferrigno. I think he's still alive. The Incredible Hulk, or Hulk Hogan. I think he's alive. I'm not even sure. All right, one more breath here. And walk the hands back. Lengthening the torso, nice and tall. And bring one or both legs in together. And shake the legs out a bit. All right, a nice comfortable seated posture, Sukhasana. Feel free to sit however you'd like on this one. We'll do an easy seated twist, and you can do it with both legs extended. Let's twist to the left initially. So my hands are on the mat, keeping the torso tall as we look over the left shoulder. And feeling pretty good relief from the pelvis now. From that last posture, and come back to center. Let's do the other side. Twisting to the right, looking over the right shoulder. Awesome, and back to center. Okay, our Ujjayi Pranayama breath is disengaged. We are seated comfortably. Give yourselves a few breaths right here just to let go, just to release. And think about everything happening from the waist down and from the knees up for any areas of tension you may have. With a deep inhalation, bring the arms up, palms come together. Exhale the breath as the hands come down past your third eye to your heart center. On your continuing journey, remember always to remain kind, remain gentle, and always remember to stay fearless. Thank you for a great session this morning. Thank you and namaste.